Some people are surprised that Michael Chandler is opening up as an underdog against Paddy Pimblett at UFC 314. After all, he's been in there with some of the best in the division, while Paddy is yet to be tested against a top 10 opponent.
I have lost to Charles Oliveira, UFC champion, Dustin Poirier, interim champion, and who fought for the title now 3 times, Justin Gaethje, interim champion, 1 fight away from fighting for the title, and I think could win the title. Those are my 3 losses in the UFC. I am fighting first ballot Hall of Famers, some of the best to ever do it. Those are the guys who I have lost to.
But if you're familiar with Michael Chandler, and specifically his run in the UFC, this doesn't come as much of a surprise at all, because the one thing that he does better than anyone in the company is consistently find a way to lose, even when he seems to have every advantage on paper. So in this case, while he should be the much superior striker to Paddy Pimblett with huge knockout power and great wrestling to complement it, which has to logically make him the one controlling whether the fight stays on the feet or goes to the ground, and provide him with a relatively safe path to victory where he can hurt or even finish Paddy standing, most fans assume that he'll somehow fumble it and get finished himself through a series of events that should be pretty unlikely given his skill set. Something like knocking Paddy down, then jumping in his guard only to get caught in the guillotine, or some variation of that. But that's not what this video is going to be about. Today, I'll be talking about a scenario where Chandler does manage to beat Paddy Pimblett and a potential sequence of events that follows that victory, culminating in him ruining Dustin Poirier's retirement in his home state of Louisiana.
We've been working on this for a couple months now. I brought it to their attention. I was like, I think I'm going to retire. I'd love to do it at home in Louisiana, where I picked up the gloves. To my surprise, they entertained it. They said, okay, if that's what you really want, we'll do our best to make it happen. So they've been talking to the state, talking to the city of New Orleans, and pushing forward. So I think we're close, but I really hope it happens.
And it's not like Chandler can't pull it together for one fight. He's fully capable of putting Paddy's lights out or even winning a decision. We've seen Paddy get hurt on the feet several times, and it was just a couple of years ago where he won an extremely controversial decision against Jared Gordon, with most people thinking he lost, and since then he secured a win against Tony Ferguson, which was very impressive for Tony as it added another notch to his historic losing streak, putting it at 7, but understandably said nothing about where Paddy objectively stands within the lightweight division. In that same vein, beating King Green with a triangle choke was a nice addition to his highlight reel, but didn't do much to showcase his stand-up ability or how he'd do against a more competent opponent. And while he does have momentum on his side where it seems like he's supposed to win, those glaring holes in his defense don't just disappear overnight. And him losing wouldn't be that shocking outside of people being surprised that Chandler didn't do something stupid to sabotage himself. And if Chandler beats him, I won't be surprised if he throws his hat in the ring to be Dustin Poirier's opponent for his retirement fight in the summer, as beating Paddy logically shouldn't put him in title contention, but given that the UFC loves to give him high-profile fights, and he claims to want to stay as active as possible after sitting out for 2 years, it's reasonable to conclude that he would be the choice to be Poirier's opponent, and it makes sense from Dustin's perspective too, since he didn't want to take a fight against Paddy Pimblett as he felt that he wasn't a big enough name. But realistically, he probably didn't want to risk losing his last fight to an up-and-coming fighter, and he likely wants his last appearance in the octagon to be a war on the feet, which wouldn't exactly be a smart strategy for a prospect like Paddy working his way up to a title shot. But Chandler is somebody that's always down to clown when it comes to that. Additionally, he probably thinks that he can beat Chandler since he already managed to do it once. But if Chandler somehow managed to keep it together for 2 fights in a row and beat Poirier, which again is not an impossibility considering that he was doing pretty well at certain points of their first fight, well, that would just be the funniest thing, and the reason why kind of goes without saying.
My personal experience, he's fake, man. But we do this knuckle shit, so I was even more mad. You know, I'm like, oh, let's fight then.
You proved your point.
Yeah.
You definitely proved your point.
And he's a cheater. And then, dude, bro, I could go on for days. I get so amped up about this.
Let it out.
Let me
Let
tell
it
you
out.
what. I get pissed off. He does all kind of stuff, man. Look, I'm retiring this next one, but look, Chandler, you can get it anytime, buddy.
Poirier absolutely hates Michael Chandler, and while some of his reasons are valid, like Chandler blatantly cheating in their fight, the dislike didn't start there. Poirier was resentful of Chandler ever since he entered the UFC for the first time in 2020, albeit in a more understated way, essentially writing him off as a Bellator guy that didn't deserve a fight against him.
Respect to Chandler, great win over a guy. But to come in and beat a guy I just beat and get a title shot, dude, I've been in, what is this, 27, 28 fights in the UFC, trying to, you know, everything, fighting the toughest of the toughest guys to get my hands on gold. You know, he should fight Charles Oliveira or something. Let Chandler and Charles Oliveira go at it. That doesn't really interest me at this point. I'm going to sell hot sauce if that's the case.
And while he might have been justified in feeling that way in the beginning, as he had to work his way up through blood, sweat, and tears and a couple of brutal setbacks that could have ended a weaker fighter's career, he still views Chandler as an outsider almost 5 years later.
Who the f is we? You just got here, buddy. You're not one of us. You're not we. I've been here, you know?
Right.
Come on, dude.
That annoyed you?
We are good. Who's we? You know, welcome to the UFC, dude. You got one win in the UFC.
That pissed you off?
Yeah, bro, he's not one of us. You know, I've been cutting my teeth in the UFC since January of 2011 or 2010, you know? He just got here. Who's we? He's speaking for the lightweight division?
Right.
Dude, Muscle McMike needs to chill.
He only seems to have this problem with Chandler though, even though almost every fighter ends up in the UFC through a different promotion and ends up being accepted fairly quickly. Justin Gaethje was in World Series of Fighting, Max Holloway was in local Hawaiian shows, Eddie Alvarez was in Bellator with Chandler and fought him there twice, and Dustin Poirier himself fought in the WEC and a host of smaller promotions before making his debut. And as a side note, I find it kind of funny that Dustin Poirier calls Chandler fake, as I've never heard him use these types of inflections in any other interview outside of this one.
I meet your wife, meet your crew. But you would feel like, man, what the? But we do this knuckle shit. I could go on for days. I get so amped up about this. Then he stuck his fingers in my mouth. He'll be walking, rocking like this forever. You hoe.
I wonder what the difference was. In my opinion, the real reason he dislikes Chandler isn't because he hasn't paid his dues or he's fake, but because he simply finds him annoying without really being able to explain why. Kind of like Justin Gaethje, who didn't even try to justify it.
I have no reason not to like you, but something about your face just makes you want to.
And I can't change that.
It's
Listen,
not that bad, Justin.
my face isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea, Justin.
Face, Justin.
Okay.
His face, Gaethje.
But face.
What about
Just his face makes you wants to punch you.
the little smirk?
God dang it.
And the fact that Chandler also seems to have this permanently chipper attitude and moves past everything Poirier says about him with relative ease probably drives him insane.
Could you and Dustin ever become friends one day?
We are friends. He just hasn't admitted it yet.
He doesn't know it.
No, he doesn't know yet. We're friends. It's really funny. I mean, there could be a documentary on how it started and how it is going and how it ends between me and Poirier. But I wish him nothing but the best. If this is his last fight, if it is his next fight is his last, I wish him well. No matter what, I'll be there. I hope it's in New Orleans for his sake. I'll be there to pay my respects, and then maybe when he lays the glove down, maybe he can finally be like, okay, we're not competing against each other anymore. We can, do some charity work together. We can make the world a better place together. We'll see, but maybe we'll do a reality show together. Maybe we'll do a podcast together. It'd be great where we're friends, but also we fight on camera nonstop. We'll see.
Their relationship reminds me of TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. In retrospect, we can sift through the events and conclude that Dillashaw wasn't really a victim, but I remember feeling a huge sense of satisfaction seeing him knock Garbrandt out in their first fight because of how much he was being messed with on their season of The Ultimate Fighter.
So he called me fake and then attacked me, which just seemed a little crazy, right?
How am I fake?
Dillashaw was clearly trying to avoid conflict while Garbrandt was looking for any reason to get in his face, which after a while just made him look like a bully. And generally speaking, whenever somebody constantly rags on somebody else because they seem to be annoyed at their existence, it eventually makes them seem arrogant and annoying as well. And that's where I'm at with Dustin Poirier. I definitely don't dislike him, but in this specific situation, his constant whining and complaining and demeaning of Chandler is getting old. And lately, it seems like he's taken advantage of the fact that other people don't like him just to go in on him more, which is why it would be hilarious if Chandler ends up being the guy retiring him. I know that Hollywood has conditioned us to want to see a happy ending, but I want to see what happens when everything doesn't go according to plan. Give me Bernard Hopkins getting knocked through the ropes in his last fight, or Pacquiao getting flatlined when he was finally supposed to put the stamp on his rivalry with Juan Manuel Marquez. Every big moment doesn't have to be inspirational or cathartic. Sometimes it's a lot more fun to see everything fall apart. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it. And if you want to support this channel further, become a member by hitting join if you're on Android or desktop, or the link in the description if you're on iOS.
You don't fall to the top of the mountain by coincidence. He had to build and climb and plod and tread towards that, and a lot of it comes with good things happen to good people, you know. And it's not that people don't do the right things; it's that people don't do the right things for long enough. And he has put his time in, grown into a phenomenal man, father, husband, and
yeah,
and
he's
going to be rewarded.
He's a good role
for it.
model.